Welcome to Synced on Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have a new friend, Cruz Lon from Cruz Lon, Hardscape University. And Cruz, you also have your own business as well, don't you?
Yes. Yep.
Welcome to the show, and really excited to hear about how you got started in the industry and tell our audience, because I see you on social media a lot. I know you have a Hardscaping University, so we'll get into that in a little bit, but tell us where are you from, how you got started in the industry, and yeah, let's get
Well,
started.
basically, I started doing hardscapes by accident. That wasn't part of my plan. My sister brought me here to the States when I was 14 years old. As you can see, English is my second language, and I'm from Mexico, right? So I went to high school here. During high school years, I worked for another company during the summer doing hardscapes. Basically, I started doing hardscapes since I got here to the States. And, once I graduated from high school, a couple years after that, I started my own business. I was like, I can make some extra money. We'll see how that goes. And as you can see, I mean, you own a business, so it's not that easy to make money. It's just a lot of different things that we got to go through. And one of the things that a lot of contractors, like me, we jump into the business knowing how to do the work, but we don't know how to charge and we don't know how to do a lot of different things, right? So basically, I learned the hard way. I've been in business for 20 years, been doing hardscapes for 25 years. But, back in the day when I started my business, it was none of these hardscape groups or trainings or events like what we have nowadays, which,
I don't think even YouTube existed, did it? No.
I think YouTube started in 2005, I think, something like that. But like I said, it wasn't like what we have now. Like I can just reach out to somebody and say, hey, I have a question about this. And, I can learn from somebody. Back in the days, there were some people that they didn't even want to share the information. They see another landscaper or hardscaper and they don't even want to talk to you because they feel like you were going to steal their jobs. That mindset, it has changed. There's still some old school people that they think that way, but the way I have seen or what I have learned in all these years, that the only way for us to grow as a business and as a person, working together, like networking, making connections, that's the only way you're gonna grow, and
And be around those people that are willing to be open and share.
Yes.
I mean, to your point, I think that's probably why, in a lot of ways, we are kind of a disjointed industry in our silos a little bit. But I think the more we learn from each other, the more connected we will be. It raises everybody's level of expertise.
Yes.
It raises the industry. I mean, what do you think? So you're out of Chicago, which is quite a big area for
Yeah.
hardscaping, I would say.
Yeah.
You said you're seeing it change and you're seeing people be more open with other companies. Has
Yes.
that changed in the last few years, 10
I
years?
would say the last 6-7 years that
Okay.
now the outdoor living space became popular, because back in the day it was just a patio. Now, of course, pergolas and maybe some water features here and there, but now the outdoor living space is just like, it just exploded, where people can see value, or potential clients can see value on this kind of jobs. Every time I turn around, we're doing $100,000 job, $200,000 job, which that still amazes me till these days, because I mean, you can almost buy a house. Well, not these days,
Well, you
right? The
can.
houses are so expensive, but at the same time, it's like, wow, they're spending $200,000 in this backyard. Wow. When I started my business in 2005, I remember my first big job was a $10,000 job, and I was like, wow, people are
Wow,
really going to
10,000.
spend $10,000 on a patio. And I think a lot of clients nowadays are a little bit more educated about how things goes, and things like that. But
I think
I
it's
think,
in different regions they're
yeah,
more switched on. I wouldn't say everywhere.
it's
I
not
think,
everywhere.
yeah, I think, well, and it's part of our job, just like what you said, we're business owners, but we're business owners that know how to do the work, the hardscaping, not always the business side. And I think our role as a business owner is also to educate the public or our
Yeah.
clients, whether that's
Yeah.
commercial or residential, because I think that to do a quality job, you can't cheapen it.
Well, this is the thing. When I started my business, my mindset was I had to be the cheapest guy to get work, right? That was my mindset. My mindset. That doesn't mean that I was a bad guy or anything like that. I didn't know any better, and there's still a lot of people out there that they don't know any better. So that's why I don't like to talk anything bad or negative about somebody.
Yeah.
They're not charging enough or they're being cheap and things like that, because sometimes we don't know any better. Because I was there. I was that guy that I thought that being the cheapest guy, that's how I was gonna get jobs, right?
Get the work.
And of course, as you build your name in the community and all that, you can start charging whatever you got to charge, right? But the biggest thing that I have seen on some of my projects, if you educate your clients, they're willing to pay a little bit more or pay what it costs to do a nice job, right? That's one thing. Another thing too, I work with a lot of clients that, like I say, they spend $100,000 or more on these projects where when I do my projects, I design them, right? So I ask them for a budget and say, okay, what's your budget? And normally they give you a lower budget, right? Let's say they say, well, I want to spend 50 grand on this. But when we said and done with the design and we present the design, and they're most of the times, almost 99% of the times, their budget, it's more, right? I mean, not the budget, but the total cost of the project once the design is done is more. And these clients are almost 99% of the time, they spend the extra money. And this is one of the things that I have learned. This is what some of the clients say. If I see value on it, I don't have any problem spending a little bit more. So, like, if you show value and then you show that you know what you're doing, the clients have no problem paying what it costs to do a nice job.
I have a question on that because I belong to a lot of these Facebook sites where it's just professionals from around the country, and you don't know who you're talking to sometimes. And I've had people say, whatever you do, don't break out your costs. And I totally disagree with that and I don't mean like, 5 ton of sand and I don't mean like that, but I mean like cost to do the patio with this stone versus cost to do the patio with this stone. Like, I feel like there's some people telling other landscape business owners out there, nope, it's only give clients one total number. And I think that could undermine quality because you're not giving your clients options.
I like to
But I
break
want to
it up.
hear your take
Yeah,
on
no,
it.
I like to break it out because a lot of times, and I even ask my clients, I ask for permission to over design this project. What that means is that I'm going to over design that. We're going to design it for everything that they want to get done, right? And then if they don't have the budget for everything, we can do it in phases. It doesn't have to be done in once. So,
Yeah.
and then I like
And
to
that's
break it up.
better than cheapening the paving or building something with less quality and quickly, or trying to cheapen it.
Well, this is the thing. At the end of the day, if these clients are spending all this money, which is crazy money, for something that they're not going to use, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? We have redesign projects where they hire a nice company that they do beautiful work, awesome work, but it's not functional. It's just too big, and their clients, they're not using their backyard because it's not, they're it's not like it's excited for them to go on their backyard because it's not well designed. The job is beautiful and they did an amazing job. So this year I'm working on 2 projects right now where they had already a nice patio, and then we're gonna redesign the whole thing with like a structure, which is a pergola, a water feature, and an outdoor kitchen and things like that. And so that's pretty much what we're facing right now. And a lot of people, a lot of contractors out there, like I said, once again, I don't want to say anything bad about anyone, but they don't know any better, and they're just going after another check, another check, another check. Like for me, I've been doing this for 25 years, right? And I'm just looking for another transformation, another job where I feel good about getting it done. The satisfaction of building something amazing that the clients are going to use, because at the end of the day, we're not selling a patio or pergola. We're selling an experience,
Yep.
memories.
A
They're going to make
feeling.
memories on that area,
Yeah.
in that space,
Yes, I love that. And so I'm a designer, but I love construction and I love the transition from design to construction. And you've touched on something that I think that is really important. Design is not just a patio. It's not just plopping things in a yard. And, it it has to flow and it has to, create some cozy spaces and some, open spaces and some, party spaces, or, like it has to evoke emotion. And what is your advice for, contractors that are, let's say they're doing hardscapes, but they're not yet to designing entire spaces? What do they need to
Okay,
learn and how
there's two
can
things
they?
that there's two things that we have to understand. There's a lot of different type of clients, right? Those clients that all they need or want is a patio, right? And I have no problem. I love those. I love those jobs. I love the smaller jobs where we can go in, out, and profits are good, right? So there's going to be that client that they just need a patio, right? There's going to be another client where they have a bigger budget or a big budget where they want a well-designed project where it's going to be functional. They're going to use it and things like that. What I told my students when I come to my trainings, don't jump into the big jobs right away. Get some experience. Start with the smaller jobs. I have seen some students that they want to jump into these big jobs right away. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the people. They don't have the systems in place, equipment. It's just a lot of different things. And they're losing a lot of money because they're not pricing these jobs right. They're taking forever, and things like that. So I always told them, it's okay. You don't have to be a millionaire or you don't have to, because, you see that
You can go under
nowadays.
pretty quickly
Yeah,
if you don't price it right and it takes too long.
Yeah, like if you make a mistake on a smaller job, not a big issue. You lose a little bit of money. You got another job, you make it up and things like that. But big jobs, I have lost big money where, I didn't price it right or whatever, the reason is. But, like it takes time to build something. It just, to become a company that is doing those high-end projects, it just doesn't happen overnight. Now, you can speed things out by coming to my training or other trainings and learn a lot of different things. It investing in ourselves, right? Learning and things like that. It took me 20 years, 30, 25, 25 years to figure it out the hard way. Now, these people that are starting in the business, they don't have to wait 20 years, 30 years to be where I am right now. And like I said, when I say where I am right now, I'm not saying that I'm a huge company, a big company, because I'm staying more small. I'm a small company. I only have 5 guys, and I'm planning on staying small. I'm more profitable. I have more control of my business. I get to enjoy the jobs and get to touch the parts of the jobs and things like that. But
Yeah.
it feels amazing to post on social media. Hey, I just did this amazing big job and all that. I get it. I understand, but if you're not ready, it's just, you can go out of business. I have seen it. These young kids breaking on social media. Oh, I have $10 million in work and this and that. And 2 years later, they're out of business just because we know in the construction business, it's not that easy. It's not like, you're going to sell, and you're going to make a lot of money. We provide a service. So we still got to produce. We still got to get the job done. Mistakes are going to happen. What happens when mistakes happen? We lose money, cost money. So,
Yes.
that's what I told my students. If you don't have a lot of experience, just start small. Invest in yourself, learn a lot of different things, how to design it. You will get there on some point. It may be a couple of years, maybe 5 years, but it's gonna happen. If you really love what you're doing and you're doing nice work, it's gonna happen.
It will. So, with that in mind, when did you start your Hardscape University? Because that looks like it's a lot of fun and great atmosphere.
Where just going back a little bit
Oh,
before I
yeah.
started my Hardscape University, um, like I said, I've been doing this for a lot of years. Before I started sharing things or my work on social media, I basically started sharing on social media in 2018, right? But
Okay.
before that, I lost motivation. I wasn't making money, and I'm not afraid or I'm not to share this with your audience, but I struggled financially for so many years. I made poor decisions. I trusted people, and a lot of different things that you learn the hard way, right? So what happens when you're struggling, you're not making money, you're making money but you're struggling, you can barely make payments, or I think a lot of companies have been there, a lot of people.
Yes.
So I lost motivation right before 2018. So I was not motivated anymore. And then 2018, I started posting on social media, and I got good feedback from some people. Hey man, you do nice work and this, and I start posting more. So I start getting motivated again,
Oh, that's
and I start getting questions about, hey man, you do nice work. You should do a training. Like, maybe, and then, I just keep posting. And then 2000, what was it, 4 years ago, I think it was 2001, 2021, I'm sorry. That's when I basically said I'm going to do a training, and
yeah.
I basically launched my university. I was like, we'll see if people comes. And then, the first year we had 7 trainings, so over 100 people that came to our training over the
That
winter.
is awesome.
And then we did it
Yeah.
again the following year. So, like I said, we have been doing these trainings for 4 years, and like I say, the satisfaction of sharing my knowledge and passion, how do you say passion with other
Passion. Yeah.
people. That's just amazing. When I get those text messages, hey man, I just closed my this job or this or like that, or it just feels good that somehow I was able to help someone reach their dreams. Because on the end of the day, it's great that we make money because we still gotta pay bills, right, and things like that. But it feels good when we're helping other people reach their dreams and goals and things like that. But I have been really blessed, to be honest. Like, these trainings have changed my life completely,
Oh,
just because it has been, I have never dreamed about doing something like this, and it's just happening. And we have had people from the United States, Canada, Alaska. We got a key from Alaska a couple years ago, and you see kids from, like, the youngest kid we had on our trainings, it was 14 years old. It was during
really?
school. So they skipped school to come to our trainings, believe it or not. And we got,
That is
like,
amazing.
yeah,
And well, and you started hardscaping when you were 14 too, or thereabouts, about that
yeah,
same
about
age.
15. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 15. That is so neat. But yeah, very passionate for him to, stop going to school to come to your university.
I think what's happening now that people can see that you can make a nice living doing landscaping or hardscape or landscapes, if you charge right. I don't know if you guys from Syncdop, but he
Oh,
comes to
yes.
our trainings all the
Yeah.
time. I love him. I know him for a lot, a
Wes is
lot of years.
great.
I think 5 years now, and he talks
Okay.
about knowing your numbers, and that's really, really
It's,
important because
yeah.
you
That
know,
is the downfall of a lot of companies, I think. And I would say almost lost my company a couple times from that too, because you get pressured from clients. You try to do new things. You think you can do it for cheaper than you can. You just get it wrong sometimes. Um,
yeah.
but knowing your numbers is really important.
And
And it sounds like you're getting such a cross section of people from all over the States, well, North America. What are the main comments you get after the event? And
I
it sounds like you even keep up with everybody that comes to the event as well.
I think one of the best things about these trainings and other trainings is the networking. You get to network and meet new people and make those connections. I know some people that have, come to my trainings, and we still talk to them and they talk to each other. And it's just like, at the end of the day, I feel like we are building a community, and
Yeah.
where we can help each other. Like I say, I have a lot of knowledge about a lot of different things, but there's other people that don't know other things that I don't know, and we learn each other. We learn from each other. And like I said, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think so too. And, I was telling you a little bit about, why I've started Synced, and it's the same thing. I see how there's a new neighborhood in around the corner from where I live, and these mature trees never got enough soil and space in between the roads and the sidewalks to actually grow. And now they're 15 years old and the trees are all starting to die instead of thrive. And I
Yeah.
go, this is easy to do if we all talk to each other. It's
Yeah.
easy to plant trees where they can live to maturity around hardscaping if we all, got together in a room, everybody who knows about trees and who's tasked with the hardscape design, and, we could fix these things, but, it's going to be expensive to fix it once it's in place,
Yeah. Yeah.
how can we do this better next time? And I think that, any education in our industry is needed, because I've heard that there's a lot of schools that used to be around that have closed down over the last, 5 to 10 years, like colleges that taught landscaping and hardscaping have closed down. So again, like, we need your Hardscape University. We need, newer education routes for
You know,
our industry.
another thing too, they're not just learning how to lay pavers or building walls. It's just a lot of different things. When I do my trainings, I share experiences, like mistakes that they don't have to make the mistakes that I did. You know what I'm saying? So basically they're getting 20-25 years of experience where in one class, or and it's just, they can speak things out. Like I say, they don't have to learn the hard way. It's like, it's more than just learning how to build patios and
Yeah.
that.
And do you find it's mostly business owners that come to your events?
I'm
Owner
surprised because the
operators?
last couple of years, I have seen a lot of big businesses, like with like 40, 50, 60 employees, where they send employees to learn. And
Okay.
I also do trainings in Spanish, because I speak Spanish, of course, right?
Yes, of course.
So a lot of companies, they have Hispanics or speaking Spanish people that they work for
Yeah.
them, and all
They
that.
want to
So
learn to hardscape. That's amazing. Yeah. Again, so needed. One of the things, we would like to have more in Spanish as well. So if you ever want to, translate any of our articles, or that doesn't sound like fun, but, but you could do this all in Spanish too, but then I would, I can't talk to you.
yeah,
Have
no,
to get somebody to fill in for me.
Another thing too that I have noticed, and
What's
I'm
that?
Hispanic, so I know how we think and feel and things like that. Like, as the Hispanics, we don't like investing in ourselves. We think
Oh, really?
that, and this has maybe not the new generation, right? But I'm talking based on my experience and what I have seen. Like my dad, like, he was like the old school guy, where he was like, I don't have to pay to learn this. I figured it out. And then of course, you figured out the hard way, right?
But then you have to make the mistakes, and then that costs, and yeah.
Yes. So now I have seen a lot of my Hispanic people, where a lot of them, they're they're changing, or they're breaking the cycle, because it has been like that, has the Hispanics, from generation to generation, where we're like, no, we don't like investing in ourselves. And I think that ends, because the new generation, they have no problem investing in themselves, and they know that that's the best investment they can do. I can go buy a truck and this and that, but if you don't have the knowledge to do these jobs, or close these jobs, or do whatever it is that you want to do in life, um, you know, that doesn't make any sense. But investing in yourselves, that's has been always, this is what I always think about this. If I lose everything that I have, all my equipment, all my trucks and everything, if it took me 20 years to build what I have, I can build it. If I lose everything, I can build it back in 4 years, in 5 years. Why? Because now I have the knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowledge is power, isn't it?
Yeah.
And nothing really replaces that. No one can take that away from you. No matter what happens,
Yes.
you have
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I didn't realize, what you said about the Hispanic community not wanting to invest in themselves. And I do hope I'm glad that you're seeing it change, because we all should value our knowledge and our expertise,
Yes.
and really, each generation should do things, learn faster and excel more, if you pay attention. if you learn from others, it should speed everybody up and we all get
Yes.
better together.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that is really important. What do you think well, let me ask you this first. Because I have seen you building all over the country. Is that right? How many states have you built in
10 different
projects?
states. 10 different
Wow.
states so far. One of my favorites was Utah. We did 2 jobs in Utah. It's
Where
beautiful out
in
there.
Utah?
By Salt Lake City.
Okay.
You know Park.
Yeah.
You know Park City.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place too. Like 10 minutes away from Park City, a small town. But yeah, we did 2 jobs over there. We have done work in North Carolina. We just did a job in Georgia in
Okay.
December. We have done work in Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana.
Yeah.
Um, Maine. We did 2 jobs. We did one job in Maine. I designed another project. Somebody else did it. I'm working on another design in Maine right now for
Yeah.
the summer. And I'm working on another design for a job in Columbus, Ohio. I'm almost done with
Okay.
that. So hopefully we get to build that project. But if we get
Wow.
to build that project in Ohio, it will be basically 10 different, 11 states so far.
That's amazing. And you said you have so a team of 5, so 6 of you total, and you all go to the different locations,
It all
or do you?
depends. When we did the job in Georgia, that was kind of like the end of the season for us here in Chicago because it was getting pretty cold.
Yeah.
So I took everybody out there. So we went out there, knocked it out, and then got ready for my trainings. But last year we did a job in Iowa, in Spear Lake, Iowa,
Okay.
in the middle of the summer. So I had a crew here in Chicago building a project, and then I had another crew in Spear Lake, Iowa. So
Okay.
basically, I was flying between Chicago and Iowa.
Every week?
For 5 weeks. It took 5 weeks for the job we did in.
Okay. And you were going each week out there?
I mean, I was there for like a week, and then I flew a couple times. My guys got stuck on something and on the project in Chicago, so I had to fly back and
Okay.
things like that. But I think it was just a lot of back and forth, flying back between the 2 jobs. And then Spirit Lake, they don't have an airport, so basically I had to drive hour and 40 minutes to South Dakota
Oh,
to catch a flight. So I had to
oh
wake up
my
like at
goodness.
4 o'clock in the morning,
Jeez.
catch my flight like around 6 o'clock or something like that, get to Chicago. I was here a couple of days for a couple of days, and then fly back to South Dakota. But like it's a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of work, but like I said, at the end of the day, I really enjoy it. And when you've been in the industry for so many years, like myself, but like I said, I've been in the industry for 25 years, I got to keep challenging myself. That's the only way I'm going to keep myself alive, right? Because it gets, if you're not challenging yourself and I don't
You
know,
don't
that's
have to
just
think about it.
now, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, right? I'm not going to get any younger. But I'm going to do it as much as I can. It's going to get to a point where my plan is just design and manage projects. I don't want to deal with employees. My guys are good, they're great and things like that. But, as the older you get, you were looking for peace in life, in your life and things like that. Like you can always go back and make more money, but, it gets like I'm 41 years old, so um, it's just your mindset thinks it's just a little bit different now. So like I said, now I have built teams where I don't have to go to the shop in the morning. They get to the shop, they get ready in the morning, they go to the jobs, right? So I get to take my kids to school now every
Oh,
morning, which is it's really amazing. Believe it or not. I mean, just that little 30 minutes that it takes me for me to take my kids to school in the morning. I love that so much. It feels so good to be able to do that.
yes.
You know.
Yes. Yeah, you're prioritizing family time yeah. I mean, I used to say my favorite time with the kids was taking them grocery shopping because, you just had all these like cute little conversations and yeah, you need to be there for your kids and you'll never
Yeah.
regret that time, huh?
Well, I feel like, there's some time in your business or in your life where you got to be there 24/7 to build something, right? But you got 2 choices in life. You can just keep grinding, 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 and just work, 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 or you can have a little bit of balance where you can just take your kids to school, just a little thing like that, or spend a little bit more time with the family and things like that. When you're building your business, sometimes it's hard because, you want to build something and it just takes a lot of time and things like that. But like, it gets to a point in my life that I don't want to grow my business any bigger than what we are. I can make a nice living where I am right now. Like, how much money do you really need? I'm going to throw a number in there. All I need is like $100,000 a year personally, to live okay. If I'm already making that, like, anymore, it's not like for me, it doesn't take much for me to be happy and grateful with in life, So I'm already making that, I'm paying myself. Me and my wife, we get a check. We get about $100,000 a year, and we can make a nice living, with that. And then all the extra money, we invest it back into other things and things like that. So, I know there are some people or some companies out there, they want to keep growing and growing and growing. And that's fine. Like, everybody has different goals in life.
But as you grow, you'll hit different problems. And yeah, no, I think it's really nice to hear that you're happy with, the size that you are, and you just want to stay interested in what you're doing. You want to challenge yourself, but not in the hours per day that you work. You want to challenge yourself in the designs and the uniqueness of what you're building. And helping other people. And I really admire what you're doing with your Hardscape University and helping so many people around the industry. That's why I had to meet you, get you on the podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I really, really appreciate your time, Cruz. And I hope, so we have an event. We just had our event in Atlanta a few months ago, but I hope you'll join us in the future at one of our events and maybe give us a glimpse of what your Hardscape University is like. And, maybe we can do a mini one or something as part of Sync Live. So I'd love to be involved more with what you're doing, because I think it's helping the industry and we really need it. So
Yeah,
thank
thank you.
you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
And how can, if anybody's listening to this and they want to sign up for your university or get in touch with you, how did they get in touch with you?
They can just find me on social media. It's Cruz Lon, basically, or www.cruzlon.com. Easy.
Okay, great. Well, we'll put that in the show notes and put a link to your Hardscape University. And look forward to being in touch with you more. Thanks,
Thank you.
Cruz.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good day.